My 9-year-old woke up on Christmas Eve and found a note. We needed a break from you. Don't call. The whole family went to a beach resort without her. When I found out, I didn't cry. I did this. 4 days later, they found something on the kitchen table and started screaming. I woke up to my phone vibrating against the nightstand like it was trying to escape. Christmas Eve, 6:12 a.m. Too early for anything except emergencies or flights I definitely wasn't on. I grabbed it, still half tangled in hotel sheets. "Mom?" my daughter, Zara, whispered. Instant adrenaline. I sat straight up. "Zara? What's wrong?" Silence. A tiny breath. And then, I think something's wrong. The house is empty." That sentence hit me harder than any alarm clock. I swung my legs off the bed and stood, the cheap carpet cold under my feet. I was in yet another anonymous airport hotel, an hour flight from home, because small city hospitals don't care that it's Christmas when they're drowning in flu and short on doctors. Holiday coverage is mandatory, and this week I was it. I'd told myself it was fine. I'd be back tomorrow. Zara loved my parents, her grandparents, and my younger sister Samantha was there with her kids, Owen and Quinn. Full house. Built-in chaos. Built-in babysitters. Except now my 9-year-old sounded like she was standing at the edge of a cliff. "Okay," I said, forcing my voice steady. "Tell me where you are." "In my room," she whispered. "But it's too quiet. Not normal quiet." "All right. Put me on speaker, okay? We're going to walk through the house together." I heard a faint beep as she switched modes, then the rustle of blankets as she got up. "Okay," she said. "Good. Open your door and tell me what you see." "The hallway light's on," she said. "Grandma always turns it off at night." I filed that away. "Anyone in the hallway?" "No, just the light." "All right. Walk toward the living room." Her footsteps sounded small and hollow through the phone. I could picture the hallway, the family photos I'd hung, the mirror my mother always complained about, the runner rug I'd bought on sale between night shifts. All of it mine. All of it paid for with exhausted bones. "I'm in the living room," she said. "The TV's off. Grandpa's blanket is gone." My heart rate picked up. "Is the tree on?" We'd decorated it last week, me, Zara, and Quinn, while Owen pretended he was too cool and still fought for the top ornament. She paused. "Yeah. The lights are on, but there's no coffee cup. Grandpa always has coffee." It was such a small detail, but something about it made my stomach turn. "Okay," I said. "Let's check the driveway. Just peek through the curtain." She patted over, and I heard the soft hiss of fabric moving. "Mom," she said, voice shrinking. "Grandma's car is gone. And Grandpa's truck. And Aunt Sam's car, too." So, not a quick coffee run. I took a slow breath. "All right. Remember they were talking about leaving early for the beach resort? Maybe they just—" "Without me?" she said. "They didn't wake me up. They didn't say anything." That part lodged in my throat. "Maybe there's a note," I said, clinging to whatever script I could find. "Check the kitchen table. Sometimes people leave notes when they go out." This was the moment where, in a different family, the note would say something like, "Ran to the store, back soon, love you, eat the cookies." I listened as she walked. "I'm in the kitchen," she said. "There's a paper here. Like a ripped-out notebook page." My pulse started to thud. "Pick it up," I said. "What does it say?" She rustled paper, took a breath, and read, stumbling over the first word. "We needed a break from you. Don't call." The hotel room went very, very quiet. Not because there was no noise. It was full of humming AC, distant doors slamming, someone laughing down the hall. But inside my head, Everything went silent and sharp. I pressed my fingers into my forehead. That's all it says? Yes. Her voice cracked. Mom, did I do something bad? No, I said immediately. Absolutely not. That note is wrong. They were wrong to leave it, and they were wrong to leave you. I walked to the tiny window and stared out at a generic parking lot, just to have something to look at that wasn't my own reflection. Okay, I said. We're going to do a quick sweep. Stay on the line. Check Grandma and Grandpa's room. Her footsteps dragged a little now. Grandma's bed is made, she said after a second. Her suitcase is gone. Grandpa's too. There's dust where his boots were. I forced a breath. Okay, check Samantha's room. She walked down the hall. A pause, then. Her suitcase is gone too, and the kids' stuff. Owen's Switch isn't here, and Quinn's unicorn is gone. A tiny inhale. They always take those when we go somewhere. Of course they took Quinn's unicorn, but not Zara. I sat back on the edge of the bed because if I didn't, I was going to fall. All right, I said. I'm going to try calling Grandma. Stay on the line with me, just be quiet for a minute. I put Zara on mute and dialed my mother. Straight to voicemail. My father. Voicemail. Samantha. Voicemail. Not even a ring. Not even a half-hearted, sorry, can't talk right now. I unmuted Zara. Okay. I'm still here. I knew it, she whispered. They went to the beach without me. Her voice did something to me then. It wasn't the crying. I'd heard her cry before. This was quieter, flatter, like she was already trying to shrink herself smaller so the world wouldn't notice. I needed another adult. Any adult. Unfortunately, that left me with Reed. Reed wasn't blood, just a longtime friend of the family who'd somehow become a permanent extra in our family group chats and vacations. He had Seinfeld opinions and a talent for always being around when there was free food. I scrolled to his name and hit call. He answered on the second ring, over loud noise, kids shouting, water in the background, what sounded suspiciously like a blender. Naomi! Hey! Mary! Where are my parents? I asked. He hesitated. They're around? Try again. I heard someone in the background ask. Is that Naomi? Then lower. Don't just give me the phone. Reed's voice dropped. They said you knew. Reed, I said, each word precise. Where are they? And where is my daughter supposed to be right now? He exhaled. We're at the resort. They left early to beat the traffic. Your mom said Zara would be fine for a few hours. Samantha said she needed a break because Zara's been, quote, extra. They were going to pick her up later, I think. Or maybe, if you finish that sentence, I am going to come to that resort and remove your larynx with a plastic spoon. He made a small, terrified noise. Look, I just tagged along, okay? I didn't make the plan. You still came, I said. I hung up before I said something a medical board might frown on. Mom? Zara asked. Are you still there? Yes, I said. I'm here, and I'm coming home. But you're at work, she whispered. I don't care. I checked the time. If I left now, I could maybe be on a flight before 8. Maybe be home before noon. Maybe. Listen, I said. I'm going to call Mrs. Martin. She's coming over to stay with you until I get there, okay? Our neighbor, Mrs. Martin, was the kind of retired school teacher who had a key to everyone's house and a sixth sense for when kids needed cookies or boundaries. Zara loved her. I trusted her. Don't open the door for anyone except her, I said, and keep the house locked. Okay, Zara sniffed. I'll stay on the phone until she gets there, I said. I switched to three-way calling and rang Mrs. Martin. She picked up on the second ring, bless her. Naomi? Is everything all right? No, I said, but it will be. I need a favor. Big one. I explained in 3 sentences. Her voice got sharper with each one. I'll be there in 5 minutes, she said. Zara, sweetie, I'm coming right now. Don't be scared. You're not alone. Okay? Okay, Zara whispered. When I heard the front door open on Zara's end and Mrs. Martin's voice in the background, some small clenched part of me unclenched. I pulled up the airline app with shaking hands. The earliest flight home left in 1 hour and 40 minutes. The hospital had booked me into a hotel near the other city's airport, not ours, so I still had about 45 minutes drive to get there. In other words, no margin. At all. I booked it anyway. Holiday pricing, last minute. One way. My phone buzzed with the confirmation and my bank account quietly panicked. I yanked clothes on, shoved my things into my carry-on, and left half my life strewn across the hotel room. Housekeeping could keep the moisturizer and the dignity. Zara, I said, switching back to her call as I ran through the hallway. I'm on my way to the airport right now. Mrs. Martin is there with you, right? Yeah, she said. I could hear the TV murmuring in the background, cartoons turned up too loud. She's making hot chocolate. Good, I said. Stay with her. I'll call from the airport. Okay? Traffic was already building. Christmas Eve. Everyone going somewhere they actually wanted to be. My leg bounced as we inched forward. By the time I arrived at the airport, my heart had been hammering for so long it felt like background noise. I sprinted through the terminal, cut through the snaking security line with enough desperation in my eyes that they waved me ahead, and made it to the gate as they were announcing final boarding. You're cutting it close, the agent said, scanning my boarding pass. My daughter is home alone, I said, because my family forgot what the word family means. Something in my voice must have landed. She just nodded and gestured me through. When I finally arrived home, Zara ran out, hair flying, socks slipping on the porch. She slammed into me so hard I stumbled back a step. I'm here, I kept saying into her hair. I'm here. I've got you. I'm here. She pulled back just enough to look up at me, eyes red and wide. Mom, she whispered, did I do something wrong? There are moments in medicine where you know, instantly, that if you screw up even a little, someone dies. This felt like that. Except the patient was my kid's sense of being wanted. I cupped her face in my hands. No, you did nothing wrong. They did. The note is on the kitchen table, Mrs. Martin said quietly. I haven't let her look at it again. I took the note, read it with my own eyes. We needed a break from you. Don't call. They hadn't even bothered to sign it. My parents, my sister. The people who'd wept when she was born, fought over who got to hold her first, called her our little miracle every time she coughed. I folded the note and slid it into my bag. Evidence. Souvenir. I didn't know yet. I slipped the note into my bag and held Zara a little tighter. They had no idea what they'd set in motion. And 4 days from now, they'd walk into that house and regret everything. It didn't start with the note on the table. I wish it had. I wish there had been one big moment I could point to and say, there. That's where everything cracked. But things like this don't break at once. They wear down slowly, like a hinge you stop noticing until the door falls off. I'm the oldest. Samantha is the youngest. That alone should tell you most of the story. I was the one who remembered bills, appointments, birthdays. She was the one who remembered fun. Our parents encouraged the arrangement. Naomi's responsible, Samantha's spirited. Those labels became our job descriptions. By the time I finished medical school, I'd been holding things together for so long it felt normal. My parents were proud of me, yes, but also very comfortable with the idea that responsible meant available, for emotional labor, financial help, childcare, you name it. When I finally bought my house after residency, they were the ones who suggested moving in to help with Zara. Zara was 5 then, and Jason, my ex-husband, was halfway out the emotional door already. The offer felt like stability, so I said yes. It didn't take long to realize I'd invited 2 extra adults to live in my home while I worked 60-hour weeks. Then Samantha moved in too, after a breakup left her with 2 kids, Owen and Quinn, and nowhere affordable to go. One temporary week turned into months. Months turned into years. And somehow, I was the only person paying for anything. Mortgage, utilities, internet, streaming, groceries, insurance. If it had a bill, it had my name on it. If I brought it up gently, my mother clutched her chest and said, "We're doing our best. Besides, you make more than any of us ever did." Maybe that was true. But respect doesn't cost money, and somehow that was always the thing in shortest supply. Worse than the finances was how they treated Zara. She's sensitive. The thoughtful kind, the kind who feels things deeply and notices every shift in tone. My family treated that like a flaw. My mother called her too delicate. My dad added dramatic. Samantha said she needed to toughen up, as if 9-year-olds should come with built-in armor. If Zara got overwhelmed at dinner, they teased her. If she cried at a sad commercial, they sighed. Once, she told my mother she didn't like loud voices, and my mother laughed and said, "Well, you picked the wrong family, didn't you?" That one stuck with me for weeks. I tried stepping in, but every time I did, they accused me of spoiling her or projecting from my job. The irony of being told how to parent my child by people who wouldn't buy toothpaste without asking first is not lost on me. Still, I believed in family. I believed in the idea that even flawed people can show up when it matters. So when Samantha suggested the Christmas beach trip months ago, a big family thing, all of us together, I said yes, even though money was tight. Even though I'd have to join them later because I'd been assigned to a mandatory Christmas Eve shift in another city. They insisted they'd take good care of Zara, that she'd be surrounded by people who loved her. The night before I left, Zara said quietly, "Sometimes they're mean, and I don't know why." I hugged her and told her she was safe. I believed it because I needed to. The next morning, I left for work before sunrise, and while I was stitching up strangers and answering pages, they packed their bags and drove to the beach without her, leaving my 9-year-old daughter behind with nothing but a handwritten note. After I got back and peeled Zara off my coat, the first thing I did wasn't scream or plot or burn the house down. I fed her. She kept insisting she wasn't hungry, but her hands were shaking, and she hadn't eaten more than a few bites of toast with Mrs. Martin. So I made grilled cheese and tomato soup, classic comfort food, doctor-approved therapy, and sat with her until she got halfway through the sandwich. Only then did her eyes stop darting toward the front door like she expected someone to jump out yelling, "Gotcha!" No one did. When Mrs. Martin finally left, with strict instructions to call her if I even thought about needing help, I put Zara in my bed, drew the curtains, turned the TV to something gentle, and watched her fall asleep in minutes. Kids crash hard after fear. Adults just pretend they didn't. I went back to the kitchen. The note sat on the counter like a crime scene exhibit. "We needed a break from you. Don't call." It still didn't feel real. Not because I didn't believe my family capable of cruelty, they'd always been good at that, but because of the sheer effortlessness of it. A torn notebook page, a scribble, a shrug disguised as handwriting. I photographed the note, the empty hooks, the missing toothbrushes, all the quiet evidence they'd packed and left. All of them, except Zara. Document, assess. Plan. The triage instinct was automatic. Urgent. Zara. Serious. detoxing the environment she'd been drowning in. Non-emergent. Everything that wasn't her. When she woke up later, we curled on the couch and watched a movie, one where misunderstandings lead to songs instead of therapy bills. She pressed into my side like she was anchoring herself. "Where do you think they are right now?" she asked. "At the pool," I said. Honesty mattered now. "Do you think they'll come back tonight?" "I think they'll come back when the resort kicks them out," I said. "But you and I won't be here." She blinked up at me. "We're leaving?" "Yes," I said. "We're taking our own little vacation." Her eyes lit up, fragile but hopeful. "Will there be hot chocolate?" "There will be hot chocolate until you beg me to stop." She snorted softly. It was almost a laugh. After she fell asleep again, I made calls. First to a colleague who rents a small furnished apartment near the hospital to traveling nurses. I'd covered Thanksgiving for him last year when he got sick. "You can have it for as long as you need," he said. "I'll text the door code." Next, I called a lawyer friend, someone I'd once stitched up after he lost an argument with a bar stool. He answered like he expected me to say something sarcastic. Instead, I said, "I need to get people out of my house." Instant silence. "They paying rent?" he asked. "No." "Lease?" "No." "They get mail there?" "Yes." "Okay, they're licensees. You can revoke permission to stay. Put it in writing. Give them a short deadline. After that, you start the eviction process if they're still squatting. Can I post the notice while they're gone?" "It's ideal. Less drama." A beat. "Naomi? You all right?" "Getting there," I said. The next morning, Christmas Day, I told Zara to pack her favorite things: clothes, books, stuffed fox, the little lamp she loved. I packed the rest: school supplies, comfort items, the drawings she'd taped to her wall. "We're not coming back?" she asked. "We are," I said. "But not with them." Her lip wobbled. "Like the note?" "No, not like the note. They left you to get a break. I'm taking you to get safe." She nodded slowly, and we loaded everything into my car. Then came the last step. I walked the house one final time. I didn't touch their sentimental junk or strip their rooms bare. I didn't throw anything out the window, tempting. I didn't retaliate. I just printed 3 copies of the notice. "Effective immediately, your permission to reside in this property is revoked. You have 7 days to remove your belongings. Failure to do so will result in formal eviction proceedings. Do not contact Zara. Communications go through me only." I signed my name. 1 copy went on the kitchen table, the exact spot where their note had been. 1 on the inside of the front door. 1 on my parents' bed. Then I locked up, checked the windows, set the alarm, and walked out with my daughter's small hand wrapped around mine. The apartment was tiny. Squeaky couch, thin walls, the kind of kitchen where you can stand in one spot and touch everything. But it was quiet. It was ours. That night, Zara and I sat on an air mattress eating takeout pad thai and watching cartoons on my laptop. "Is this just for Christmas?" she asked. "We'll see," I said. "How do you feel here?" She looked around thoughtfully. "It's small." "Yeah." "But it's nice," she added. "No one yelling at the TV." "Right?" I said. Football was a personality in that house. She giggled, small but real, and for the first time in a long time, the silence felt peaceful instead of dangerous. Somewhere, hours away, my family was probably complaining about overpriced poolside drinks and sunburn. I didn't care. For the first time in years, I could hear myself think, and Zara could breathe. They came back 4 days later. I knew the moment it happened because my phone started ringing over and over again. Not just once or twice, the kind of calling pattern people have when they're panicking and want you to fix something for them. I didn't answer. Zara and I were sitting at the little table in the apartment, coloring together. She wasn't talking much, but she didn't look frightened anymore. Just tired. And she kept glancing up at me every few minutes, checking that I was still there. My phone buzzed again. This time I answered, because I needed to hear their voices, not rely on imagination. It was my mother. "Naomi?" she said, breathless. "Where are you? Where is Zara? Why is the house empty?" I kept my tone steady. "She's with me. She's safe." There was a small, stunned pause, and then my father's voice rose in the background. Not yelling, just startled and angry in a way I knew too well. "She took her. She took the girl and left the house." My mother's voice came back, strained. "Why would you do this? We came home and everything was silent. We didn't know what happened." "I left a notice," I said. "On the table." "We saw it," she said, her voice tightening. "It says you're removing us from the house. Surely that can't be real." "It is," I said quietly. My father came onto the line fully then. "Naomi, you can't just throw your family out. We've lived there for years." "You've lived in my home for years," I corrected gently. "And you left my daughter alone without telling me. You didn't check on her. You didn't call her. You left her to wake up and find an empty house." "That's not fair," my mother said softly. "We were coming back." "When?" I asked. "After breakfast at the resort? After a swim? After you remembered she existed?" She didn't answer. For a moment, all I heard through the line was quiet arguing between my parents and Samantha. Not shouting, more like three people scrambling to explain something to themselves before explaining it to me. Finally, Samantha's voice broke through. "Naomi, this is being blown out of proportion. We didn't mean for her to be scared. We just needed space. And you work so much. We thought she'd be fine." I let out a long breath. She was not fine. She was terrified. She thought something happened to all of you. She thought she'd done something wrong. And you didn't leave her a plan. You left her a note telling her not to call you. "It wasn't meant like that," my mother whispered. "I know what you meant," I said. "But I have to look at what it did." There was a soft sound on the other end, almost like she was crying but trying not to. Part of me hurt hearing it, but another part, the part that held Zara while she trembled, stayed firm. "You have 6 days to move your things out," I said. "I won't argue about it. I'm not changing my mind." "Naomi," my father said, voice heavy, "you're tearing this family apart." I closed my eyes. "Dad, I'm holding my family together. Mine is Zara and me. That's it right now." No shouting followed, just stunned silence. Then I ended the call. They didn't stop trying, of course. The messages came in waves: confusion, hurt, frustration, little attempts to tug on guilt. I didn't respond. I focused on Zara, on making the apartment feel familiar. We cooked simple meals, watched movies, arranged her things neatly around the small bedroom. Every night she slept a little deeper. A few days later, on my way into the hospital, they tried showing up in person. A nurse pulled me aside. "Your family is out front," she said. "Do you want me to walk you around the back?" I almost said yes, but avoidance only works for so long. "I'll talk to them," I said. They stood near the main entrance, my parents and Samantha together. They looked different, smaller somehow. My mother's coat wasn't buttoned properly. Samantha's hair was in a messy bun, not the usual picture-perfect style she always insisted on. My father looked tired in a way I hadn't seen before. My mother stepped toward me first. "Naomi, we just want to understand." "That's fair," I said gently. "I'll explain, but only if you listen." They all nodded. "You left Zara alone," I said. "You didn't tell me. You didn't check on her. She woke up terrified. She thought she was the problem. My mother let out a soft, broken sound. I never meant for her to think that. I know you didn't, I said. But that's what happened. Samantha crossed her arms. We were overwhelmed, Naomi. We watched 3 kids, you know. I know, I interrupted. But Zara is not a burden you get to put down because you're tired. She's a child. My child. And she deserves to feel safe. My father rubbed his forehead. So that's it? We're just out on the street? No, I said. You have a week to find a place. You're adults. I trust you can manage. They exchanged looks. Uncomfortable, resistant, but also resigned. My mother sighed first. We really didn't think it through, she said softly. We thought you'd calm down after a day or 2. I'm not angry, I said. I'm done. There was no yelling, no dramatic exit, just a quiet understanding that something had broken long before this, and I was finally refusing to hold the pieces together alone. By the end of the week, they moved out. Not gracefully, but they managed. Mrs. Martin gave the occasional update, but I stopped asking for them. I didn't need to know who was angry at whom or which piece of furniture didn't fit in the rental. That part of the story wasn't mine anymore. Zara and I went back to the house a few days later. It felt different, quiet in a peaceful way this time, not in a lonely way. She walked from room to room, touching familiar objects as if checking they were still hers. This is really our house now? She asked. Yes, I said. Ours, and we set up her room together. Fairy lights, drawings, the fox bedsheets she chose. She asked if we'd ever let them come back. Not unless you want to, I said, and only in ways that feel safe. She thought about that, then nodded. That night we made pasta and watched fireworks on TV. She fell asleep on my lap long before midnight. I looked around the room. The same house, but lighter, somehow. Quieter. Ours. And for the first time in a long time, the future felt like something we got to choose. Did I go too far or not far enough? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.